Hello everyone, here is our first review and comparison of the Mavic Air 2, and if you like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. First, let's get it out of the box.
Pretty excited to take this thing for a little spin. Drum roll. Wow. Fly more combo. Looks like it already all comes in the bag. Extra props. More extra props. Just manuals. No surprise. Aww. This is actually a nice bag. It's a little bigger than the Anafi. It feels a lot more robust. Here's the aircraft. So we got extra batteries. AC power, probably for the charger. Alright, there's the charger brick. Apparently it only does one at a time. And the controller. Wow. It's actually heavier than I thought it would be. Quite a bit heavier than the Parrot Anafi Sky Controller 3. There it is. That's the antenna slash phone holder. And the most important part, the silica gel, do not eat. Alright, that's it, that's the whole bag. There it is. Let's get it charged.
Right after the first takeoff, I got the impression that it is very solid. It was surprisingly quiet as well. The low tone isn't very disturbing at all. Its size is the perfect balance of small enough to hike with, yet big enough to handle various conditions, and be fairly discreet. On the first flight, we waited until just before sundown for the batteries to finish charging. It did very well in low light. It also was very clear that the connection was solid in a dense Wi-Fi area. First flight gave no problems at all, and it performed in a controlled and familiar way. A very good start. On our second day, it was fairly windy, 18 miles an hour with gusts to 28 miles per hour. There was also scattered cumulus clouds. It handles the wind incredibly well. Not a single time did I feel that the wind was going to compromise the image, let alone the aircraft. We flew out to a distance of about 2 miles, mostly into the wind. It gave the low battery warning with 54% remaining, so I started back. It must have hit a gust of wind because the time remaining dropped to about 6 minutes, which made me concerned for a moment, yet it quickly went back up to about 10 minutes, and I knew it would be fine. When I got it back to us, it still showed 20%, so very impressive range performance to say the least. The low battery warning is conservative and will pretty much get it back with over 20% every time. The longest flight I've had yet was 25 minutes. This included a hyperlapse, and there was a very light breeze. Getting the full 34 minutes out of it would be difficult, but likely possible if you're okay with flying till 0%. Most of the time you can expect 20 to 25 minutes max in normal flying, which honestly is more than enough, especially with the Fly More combo that gives an hour and 15 minutes of flying with the 3 batteries. The exclusive features such as Active Track, ADS-B AirSense, and APAS are very useful. Active Track is so easy to use, it appears to have no issues. It even will switch to GPS track if it loses its subject, when tracking a stationary point on the ground. And it's very good at tracking a moving subject. It's great for people who want to track themselves. Very useful even if you're like me and prefer to manually track. AirSense can give you ample warning about manned aircraft, so you can avoid them completely. And with APAS, just having that extra bit of warning lets you feel very confident getting closer to subjects like this rock face here, with the avoidance disabled. Not to mention, it is capable of avoiding the majority of obstacles when enabled. Very nice. Also, there appears to be future compliance with remote ID built into the app, so that brings a little peace of mind that it will still be legal when the laws change, hopefully. The controller is very well engineered and comfortable to hold. It is built very robustly, it looks like it could handle significant drops, but don't try. The control sticks are not overly sensitive and can be nudged to fly and pan very slowly, giving the ability to combine movements smoothly. Or, if a subject is moving fast, you can track it quickly. Having the screen above is my preference, and what I'm used to, and it mounts to the phone very solidly. And the OcuSync 2.0 is nearly flawless. Only full loss of line of sight or extreme range and Wi-Fi saturation will break connection. At 10 kilometers connection range, it has more than you should ever need. If you need more, just get a helicopter. As far as image quality, it's a bit of a mixed bag. With excellent color accuracy, auto white balance delivering good results most of the time, very sharp focus, good wide field of view at 84 degrees 24mm equivalent, and fairly decent low light performance. When it gets darker, you can expect a lot of noise and loss of detail. Some of which can be recovered in post by denoising and sharpening. But the Mavic Pro 2 would be a better choice for you if you need low light performance. While the quality will certainly make you wow out loud most of the time, it can leave you wanting more other times. If you've ever used a full-frame sensor camera, while it isn't really fair to compare, it won't come close to matching it in some scenarios. However, it holds up very well in well-lit scenarios. While it is only 8-bit, it seems to be fairly good with light color grading. Even though it is sharp, it would be nice to have a sharpness setting so that we could have the option to sharpen in post instead, as it seems to have a set sharpness, which for some may be nice as it's one less thing to worry about. basically in auto, straight out of camera, will get you good results most of the time. Very nice again. The camera settings give plenty of options, but could have a bit more depth. Yet I see why, as they leave the depth for the pro level Mavic. Photos are very good, and the 48 megapixel setting gives superb detail. In hyperlapse mode, it limits the video to HD and 8K, but you can save the JPEG or RAW files and make a video from the stills in post. Yet you can't do that with 48 megapixel photos, a feature I wish it had. HDR has had mixed results. While it is great in a golden hour shot, it tends to oversaturate and bring up shadow noise in most other scenarios, which using 8-bit again would be better to do in post so it's not baked in. In low sun angles, it does seem to recover some of the sky and sun disk. Also in HDR, you cannot lock or set custom exposure. For some, it may be fine if they want that look without the extra work. The app is very easy to use and intuitive. One problem is that it requires a 64-bit phone OS. We have the iPhone 5S as a drone phone, which basically is the bare minimum. However, our Androids are 32-bit and can't even install the app. Even some newer phones are still 32-bit. Some may need to consider this before buying. Hopefully DJI will support both in the future, but it isn't likely. They have already added some features that were needed, such as gimbal settings and a toggle for phone charging. The app is battery and processor intensive, so that was a good call if your phone battery is low. The controller has ample battery to handle it. We do wish that the altitude limit wasn't set to 1,600 feet maximum, as flying 400 feet AGL in mountains could require more sometimes, as you can see here. Not everyone lives in the plains. Our main drone over the past year has been the Parrot Anafi, and it has been a very good experience. But Parrot may want to consider dropping their price by half. The Mavic Air 2 outperforms it in every way except two. The Parrot Anafi has a basically free FPV mode. We got a cheap pair of goggles from a thrift store and they work quite well. Also, Anafi can look straight up, so it's nice to have both if we need a shot looking up. That feature also allows Anafi to produce true 360 photos, very nice, even though the Mavic Air 2 has a similar feature, just without the vertical shot. That brings up one problem with the Mavic Air 2, which is that in sport mode, at high pitch angles, the gimbal runs out of vertical and snaps down to level, so you have to plan for it if you don't want to ruin the shot. Luckily, it has a toggle if you want to disable looking up. The Anafi is quieter by a tiny bit, but it has more of a whine to it, so it may be more disturbing in a way. The Anafi's Sky Controller 3 is very nice, but clearly not as well made. The controls are a bit oversensitive feeling by comparison, but that can be fixed by setting gimbal speed lower if you need smooth shots. Not to mention Anafi's controller is about half as good or less at maintaining video feed at range, dense Wi-Fi, and around obstacles. The Anafi, while lighter, has slightly less battery life at 25 minutes max, and usually around 20 in hard flight. Anafi doesn't handle wind very well by comparison, and will twirl around in a gust and lose or ruin the shot at max throttle. Anafi's image falls well behind since its 2-axis gimbal relies on a digital crop stabilization to smooth out the horizontal, and this can be apparent in shadow areas with loss of detail. It also seems to use a temporal denoise, as you can see tracers in the low light areas which can't be fixed. In HD, it may not be an issue, but it's obvious in 4K. Anafi is faster to set up and go, which is a plus. Anafi has some features as in-app purchases, flight plan, and follow me, which just come with the Mavic Air 2. Our first drone you probably haven't heard of, the Snap by Vantage Robotics. When we bought it, it was nearly the same price as Mavic Air 2, and I think it still is, which is crazy. To be honest, it has lots of issues. The first is that it relies on phone Wi-Fi, which limits its range to about 300 feet, and its image quality in 4K falls well behind due to its low bitrate and lack of a 3-axis gimbal. It suffers from shake and jello even in a modest breeze. We still love it though, like a dumb pet or something. The Mavic Air 2 is, as many have said, by far the best drone for the price right now. You can't go wrong, and whether you are looking to upgrade or get your first prosumer drone, this is the one to get. Chances are this will get the job done for you, and will do it very solidly and comfortably. It's safe, quiet, easy to fly, and has great image quality. Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and thanks.